News at 6.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on ABC 3340 News at 6. I'm Muriel Bailey. Coronavirus patients will now be quarantined in Anniston. The Department of Health and Human Services says people who tested positive for the virus on the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan will now be quarantined at the FEMA Center in Anniston. Now, these are passengers who have tested positive for coronavirus but are still not showing symptoms. The county and city held a joint press conference today saying they were not consulted about this and just found out hours ago in an email.
At this time, we would like to make it explicitly clear, though, that the federal government has assured us that these patients will not have any impact on our local community and that no one is at risk. All patients will be kept on site at the installation, and the city of Anniston, the MA, the county commission, we're all working alongside our federal and state partners to ensure the safety of all of our citizens.
Now, those patients are not here in Alabama yet. It's our understanding they will be transported to Anniston sometime next week. Tim Hodges, the Calhoun County Commission chairman, says the city isn't prepared for something like this, and they're working on ways to stop it.
Whether this happens or not, or we can stop it or not, it can't happen this quick. There's a school, Sacred Heart School, which is right there close to, not to mention all the other schools and children and playgrounds and soccer fields. So there's a lot to think about before this happens.
Now, Alabama isn't the only state on the federal radar. Friday, a judge issued a temporary stop for a city in California where officials wanted to create a quarantine site there. The judge did this after the city took legal action. Right now, the World Health Organization is making its first visit to Wuhan, China, since the coronavirus outbreak began.
I, Shalom, want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Wahar Rakah Kodash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. I also would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, I want to say shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Aqua, which would be you brothers along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, this lesson right here is going to be centered around the opening clip, which featured the idea of quarantines being brought, here to the state of Alabama and in certain parts of America, which this news was broke by one of the prophets, the brother Tazayuan. And once I saw this stirred up a wide range of thoughts, if you will. First and foremost, the fact that what you got to understand is these devils control the media. Okay, starting with these elites, the chief house of the nation of Edom, They control what's being featured on the news, all right, from whatever content, nature of the content, to the timing when certain news stories is broke, okay? It's all controlled by these devils, all right? Case in point, why haven't you seen the Hebrew Israelites featured on these different news outlets, man? Okay, here it is. You have men springing up in all these different major cities throughout America, near and far, and throughout the world for that matter. And the message is a extreme message, if you will, concerning the destruction of America, okay? Yet you don't hear a peep from these different news outlets, local or nationally, concerning the Hebrew Israelites. You see? Well, there's a reason for that, because that's not in the best interest of these elites. Right now anyway, okay, for them to thrust us out into the forefront, which there's going to be a time where these devils is ultimately going to feature us on every news station in America, man, and throughout the world, and it's going to be an effort to demonize us, But why haven't you seen, different stories? That's a story right there, But that proves that these devils control the media. And the media is a form of playing on the psyche of the people, okay? Which when you go into that word media, it goes back to medium, which translates to witchcraft. So, the vibration of you Americans is based upon what you see on the news, on TV, these different sitcoms, what you hear on the radio, the different trends that Esau push, okay? That's a form of their witchcraft, all right? Now, another thought that was stirred up behind this. This is nothing more than a clear case of gradualism right here. All right, and in order for you to understand what I mean, you'll have to understand the definition of the word, which I have queued up.
Gradualism.
All right, it says a policy of gradual reform rather than sudden change or revolution. See, and this is a tactic used by the so-called white man. This devil will creep up on you, he'll tiptoe up on you, then he got you, man. And that's the attributes of a serpent. Okay, a serpent slithers up on you, man. And pretty much the slither is a form of gradualism. Case in point, when you consider the currency. Okay, it started off with coins, then it transitioned into paper dollars. Okay, even when you consider food stamps, there was a time where it was actually paper dollars, man, paperback money. Eventually they gradually presented, the idea of using credit cards. It wasn't a sudden change, man. It wasn't a hard transition. They gradually presented you with the idea of using credit cards until you was conditioned and ultimately became acclimated to using credit cards, man. That's a form of gradualism. And that's what you see with the chip. Okay, the chip is being gradually presented to you. See, when you walk up in these stores, what's the lingo? You have the chip. That's a form of gradualism, man. And that's what you're witnessing with this coronavirus, which we believe through the spirit, that these devils in their diabolical plans is using this pandemic, okay, pretty much, to push forth their agenda, man. And that's not a far-fetched idea, because if you know anything about the CDC, which that's an acronym for Center of Disease Control, which, by the way, the acronym is not CDE, Center of Disease Eradication, or CDD, Center of Disease Destruction. No, it's Center of Disease Control, meaning, rather than just destroy the diseases, they control it, man. To use, at whatever time, best for them in attempts to further their agenda, okay? Which you have something known as order ab chaos, which is Latin for order out of chaos. So these devils, they'll create the pandemic in this case, then they'll come up with a solution, man, okay? So these devils, they actually use plagues and diseases as a form of bringing about a certain agenda as well. You got to remember, this man's blessing is the sword, man, and that sword is not designated to his weaponry, in the form of guns and missiles and bombs. It also applies to these diseases that you see, these different diseases that become airborne. Well, these devils release those diseases, man, creating a certain panic, if you will, so they can come up with a solution, all right? Now, to further prove that, again, this definition gradualism, it says policy of gradual reform, okay, rather than sudden change or revolution, all right? Now, when you look up this word reform, look it up real quick. All right?
Reform.
It says make changes in something, typically a social, political, economic institution or practice, in order to improve it. See? Make changes in something, typically a social, political, or economic institution or practice, in order to improve it. See? Which goes back to order ab chaos, creating the problem, so they can come up with a solution to bring about order, which in this case will be the New World Order. So these devils, they create the problem, man, only to come up with the solution. And that's why you hear this word quarantine being thrown around, to condition your minds to believe, you know what, this coronavirus is a pandemic. It's getting bad. So what's the solution? We need to be quarantined, Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, this is not the case. Okay, the coronavirus is not, a diabolical creation of the so-called white man, which we know the coronavirus has always been around. It goes back to the SARS disease, which, again, is being controlled by these devils. All these different diseases is bottled up and packaged, man. You know? But let's just say if that's not the case, and this coronavirus, naturally came about, from some damn gook eating bat soup. Well, guess what? These devils still will use that, as a vehicle, if you will, to further their agenda. Okay? You have a banker who made the quote, "The best time to buy is when blood is running in the streets." See? And that's pretty much more proof that these devils is Esau, okay? And you also have this devil, Winston Churchill, which he was juiced in. He was an insider. And I think he was the prime minister for Great Britain in the time of World War II, where he made the statement, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." See that? So even if, we off about, these devils, pushing out that coronavirus, making it airborne so they can push their agenda, let's just say if that's not the case. Well, even if this coronavirus naturally came about, well, these devils still going to use that, to further their agenda. Again, never let a good crisis go to waste, man. See? And right now, what you're witnessing is the prophecies. We're going into the next phase of prophecy, man. Okay, all hell is about to break loose. You see? Which brings me to the first scripture I got found in the book of 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, starting at the first verse. It says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you." Yeah, and this is personalized right here. That brethren symbolizes, all the believers whom the Lord have, shared some of his most intimate thoughts, intense purposes and plans concerning America in the form of the prophecies, man. We have no need to be put on game or what's coming down the pipe. The impending danger that's on the horizon and fast approaching, man. We understand perfectly well what's going on. See, it says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly," see, "that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." See that? "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them." And that word sudden is in the definition for gradualism, man. You see that? But the point is, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Case in point, last night you had the Deontay Wilder fight, which is a big deal in where? Alabama. All over the world. But mainly here in Alabama, they make a big deal out of that fight. This guy's from Tuscaloosa, man. Alabama, right? So what's the coincidence? News broke last night, in Alabama, that they was eyeing Anniston, Alabama, as a destination for quarantines for damn coronavirus victims, man. That's these devils using gradualism, and pretty much throwing a smoke screen in front of the people while they work behind the scenes, man. See? So these devils piecing everything in play. And really it goes back to Yahweh Basham Yahweh. This is the work of the Lord right here, man. And we see perfectly that the Lord is preparing to bring all hell to America. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back there. But let me get something real quick. In the book of Isaiah, the 45th chapter, in that 7th verse, it says, "I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things." So really the coronavirus, these different skirmishes breaking out throughout the world, okay, the tension between the nations, okay, World War III fast approaching. That's all the work of Yahweh Basham Shah right there, man. The plagues that's been prepared to befall the planet Earth, mainly here in America. That's the work of Yahweh Basham Shah. See? But he's using the devil, Esau, to carry out that work. Matter of fact, this is Proverbs, the 16th chapter, in the 4th verse. It says, "The Lord have made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil." See, even the wicked for the day of evil. And that day of evil is mainly going to come in the form of Jacob's trouble. So the wicked, the so-called white man, was created just for that moment, man. You know, if you consider a movie, let's say Menace to Society, right? You know, when Cain got put to death, the director had to create the guy to do the drive-by, man, for that moment. You know, the guy said, which one of y'all's Cain, man? That guy, he had to emerge in the scene. He had to emerge in the movie somewhere, man. Okay, in order for Cain to be put to death. So in order for all hell to break loose, in order for that to actually be a time coined as Jacob's trouble, the wicked has to come into play, man. And the Lord is working through this devil. Okay, this devil is doing his thing, man. He's setting the stage to fulfill the scriptures. See? So again, when you go back here to 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter and the 3rd verse again, it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. See that? So you people are going to be going about your day-to-day only to be escorted to a damn detention center, man, or wake up in a concentration camp. That's the next phase we about to go into, man, and you can see it. Okay, now even if this thing die down, this doesn't in no wise offset the fact that you're going to have the majority of you Americans carted off into these concentration camps. You're going to have chipping stations set up, and the landscape of America going to change dramatically and drastically, man. See that? And we see it. It's right there, man. See that? It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. See that? And the scriptures say, as a woman with travail, because once a woman is about to give birth, there's nothing you can do to reverse that. You know? Once the water break and that baby is coming, she can't say, you know what, now I'm going to put this off for another month. I got to handle some business, man. And that's going to be the overtone of what you're going to see. When that first domino fall, pretty much, that's going to be it. You know? Matter of fact, let me grab some real quick. We'll get ready to close. What's that, 2nd Ezra? Yep, 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. And starting at the 3rd verse, it says, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? Yeah, once the first domino fall, it's not going to be anyone who can reverse that process, man. And see, that's the thing about prophecy, man. In the words of Yahweh Shah, each day the sun rise and the sun set is a signet that the Lord is for real, man. The Lord is about business. And hey, in fact, the Lord is hastening this thing. You know, you look up 1 week, you at camp, you know, and in a blink of an eye, you right back at camp. This thing is speeding up. That's the Lord hastening this thing, making good on the words that he have declared, man, in these scriptures. See, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, see, and what is he that may drive them away? Okay, and these plagues are sent. And I believe this coronavirus, it could settle down, but me personally, I believe this thing is going to be a wildfire, man. You know? And it's going to come to a point where you people are going to be running up in those quarantine stations, which I think that was the Elder Malcolm. Yeah, he brought out information. I think it's like 5,400 people who have self-quarantined themselves in America. This thing's serious, man. See? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Yeah, once the Lord lay out, you know, his plans and begin to put the pieces together, who the hell are you, man, to offset it, man? See? It says, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it have began to burn. Yeah, and the fire is already kindled. See? The fact that you see these devils, again, like I mentioned earlier, they control the media. And everything is based upon, you know, from the nature of the content, which is being presented, from the timing, everything goes back to these fucking elites, man. So the fire is set. Who are you to quench it? And really, again, that goes back to Yahweh Shah. See? Verse 7, may one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, see? And who is he that can drive them away? See that? So it's Yahweh Shah behind this, man. Who are you in your feeble attempts? And just because you don't believe, this doesn't mean somehow, you know, this is going to offset the intents and purposes of Yahweh Shem Shah. See that? Verse 9, a fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? Yeah, because pretty much, who are you? You can't squash this beef. You know, you might have two guys about to bump heads, and somebody can step in between them and say, you know what, nah, y'all just calm down. No, man, the fire is set. You can't quench this fire, man. You can't kindle the fire of the anger of Yahweh Shem Shah. The Lord has sworn in his wrath. Okay, that's like a guy who give you a threat in the heat of the moment. I'm going to kill you when I see you. You know what I mean? That's Yahweh Shem Shah. The Lord sworn in his wrath that he's going to overthrow Esau, destroy America, as well as the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. That's written in stone. That's a done deal, man. And there's nothing you can do. And again, what you see unfolding, man, okay, with now all of a sudden this coronavirus is coming up close and personal. You got this talk of quarantines. Hey, man, it's going down, all right? So y'all just want to touch on that, Lord willing. It was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.